The Hoop Scoop is more NBA free agency news as free agency is only less than a week old. So we've already seen some twists and turns, but I keep coming back to Giannis. I think we're all making a giant assumption that all is good with Giannis because the Bucks did a short-term fix. I don't even think it's a short-term fix the more I think about it. And we still could see Giannis requesting a trade this summer. And I think best case scenario, it's next summer. So we know about the Damian Lillard gymnastics, but I don't think Giannis is dumb and everyone else is smart saying the Bucks were too reckless. I think Giannis realizes it. And because Milwaukee is in the luxury tax area, so that's good for Giannis, meaning the ownership is willing to spend to keep them happy. So they went $11 million at last check over the salary cap. That means they're paying $29.4 million for that punishment, that penalty. So that's good. But other than that, this reckless move for the Lillard stretch to pay Myles Turner, I think it puts a smile on his face, but ultimately this is not good for the franchise. So with Giannis signed for 2 more years and then a player option 3 years, I think he's going to realize maybe mid-season, if not later this summer, they're not an Eastern Conference contender. They haven't been out of the first round since winning the title in 2021. Yes, injuries played a key role, but ultimately this is what they have. They traded away Middleton. Lillard's gone. So it's just Giannis. And who's the second best player? Bobby Portis Jr.? They have some nice role players, but their ceiling is role player, whether it's Kevin Porter Jr., some of the guards, right? Derry Bird and Gary Trent Jr., they're good. They can go on nice runs, but they're not all-stars. They're not fringe all-stars. Kuzma's a starter. He's terrible. They have no one to handle the ball without Lillard and Middleton now. So they're very limited across the board. And I just think Giannis is either going to realize that coming soon, this summer, or mid-season, he's going to request a trade. And the NBA typically grants superstars a trade request, even though they have time that they're committed to in terms of the contract. So yes, he has 2 years remaining plus a player option, 3rd year. But if he requests a trade, they'll appease him. Look what Houston just did with Durant. He gave him a couple destinations he prefers, and they appeased him and sent him to Houston, which being one of them. So I don't think this stretching of the salary, which really what it does is it limits the Bucks' ability to get players over the next 5 years. Now, next year, it did give them flexibility because Damian Lillard was going to be injured all year. He counted around $50 million. So they turned that into $22 million against the cap and used that difference to go get Myles Turner. So yes, in the first year, they did get relief of Lillard that enabled them to go get Myles Turner. But I don't think that means championship contender. And then after that, when Lillard would have come off the books and things like that, or have been an expiring deal, then they're still paying money for a guy who's for a roster spot that doesn't have a person there. So let's say it's a $20 million hit over the next 5 years. And let's say the salary cap's 150. That means everyone else gets to spend 150 million on the salary cap, and the Bucks can only spend 130. So that 20 million. So it's 22 and a half over 5 years. So it's not good. And Giannis will realize that if he hasn't already. And ultimately, this team with Doc Rivers as coach. So I just don't see how this is a good thing. We all said, oh, it's a roll the dice, No, I think it's a Band-Aid over a gash wound that they created themselves. And so I think Giannis is going to realize this franchise not only acts foolishly, but has hurt themselves. Maybe it's not till next summer, but ultimately, I do think he's going to request a trade. But teams are all keeping an eye on it, right? We know teams are. We know they're not going to look away and think it's all good, all is quiet on the Giannis front. I think they're still keeping an eye on things right now. One of those teams is the Houston Rockets. And, it does bring into question, because the Rockets could still have assets and go get Giannis, pair him up with Kevin Durant. That trade became official this past Sunday. So it is now officially a 7-team trade, largest in NBA history. So really cool that happened. 7 teams. And Boogie Cousins, while speaking on FanDuel TV, claims that last year the Phoenix Suns with Durant, Booker, and Bradley Beal had multiple fistfights throughout the season. Now, as we check in on the Heat check with Durant on X, I have to contest this 94-footer. This is some BS to throw on us. Yeah, we were trash this year, but we never got close to this. Never. And that was a retweet of that report. Well, DeMarcus Cousins did. The source was one of your teammates, Killa, and I wasn't referring to you. Save this as for others, homie. And Durant's response was, whoa, Boog, I don't want no problems with you or anyone on earth. I promise. All I'm saying is your source is lying. Well, it's a he said situation, right? You want to believe it. And I just don't think Durant would be this vocal and this explicit if that wasn't the case. Now, there's no real evidence of anything, right? We don't have video of this. We don't have anything. But if Durant says it didn't happen, I'm beginning to think that like maybe Boogie got his wires crossed, perhaps. And I'd also like to give my 2 cents on Kevin Durant sort of PSA with his social media usage. I think he needs to chill out a little bit. He has 21 million followers on X, which is a lot. And some of his interaction with fans is beneath him, in my opinion. So there was a fan named Drew who said, if KD doesn't even make the finals these next 2 years, I don't want to hear him in the top 5 convos ever again. Not win it, make it. Ring chaser, and he tagged KD. KD wrote, shut up, Drew. Nobody cares that you exist. Perhaps, but you know I exist. Hashtag do better. Kevin Durant, you will be erased from my memory by 1 p.m. Guarantee it. You are one out of millions. You aren't special, Drew. And then later, Durant said he went on to be just joking. Now, am I being too critical? Like, is it refreshing that you have someone unfiltered and talking smack and then later saying, I'm just all good, I'm just messing with you? Or should he be more polished? I guess it's filtered or unfiltered versus filtered, right? Let me know your thoughts. What do you think about KD's interaction on X? And this is not an isolated situation. He's very sort of interactive in that regard. We have some news with the NBA Summer League. It gets going in Vegas. It's already underway in California. They are doing something that is sort of been, if you're an NBA fan, you notice it at the end of the quarters, 1 through 3, the half court heaves. A lot of players sort of slow and wait for the horn to sound or wait for it to go to 0 and then shoot because they're afraid of hurting their shooting percentages. Well, now the Summer League will implement a statistical angle or approach that is currently tested at the G League. So the Summer League stat change will be final 3 seconds of quarters 1 through 3, if it's at least 36 feet away, which is just beyond half court, and the play originated in the backcourt. If you shoot and miss, that will not go against your shot attempts. Now, if you make it, it's a free roll. So it's crazy that this has become a thing. But I get it. Like that is important to shooting percentages. And if it leads to players being a little bit, trying harder to score points at the end of a quarter, then I think it works, all things considered. Betting 101 is exactly what it sounds like. We're going to describe some situations in sports betting. And this one centers around a scandal or potential scandal in Major League Baseball, and something that I got to admit made me realize that I was wrong a handful of years ago. I thought that someone was sending warning signs about something that could happen, and I thought it was laughable. I thought it was ridiculous. And sure enough, here we are, and there's potential it actually happened. So let's set the scene. Cleveland Guardians starting pitcher Luis Ortiz is under investigation after 2 prop bets were flagged by a firm that monitors unusual betting activity in 3 states, Ohio, New Jersey, and New York. And it was a proposition bet involving the first pitch of a particular inning. Here are the 2 pitches. June 15th against the Mariners, clearly a ball. And then June 27th against the St. Louis Cardinals, also clearly a ball. Now, again, what is a proposition bet? It's something that can occur that is isolated in a small scenario, not who won the game or how many runs were scored. You can literally bet what a batter does in his first at bat or his second at bat, or whether someone like Aaron Judge will hit a home run, or in this case, the first pitch of a particular inning for Luis Ortiz is a ball or a strike. So that's pretty specific, right? Well, it makes me think of Al Leiter, the former Major League Baseball pitcher who went in front of Congress in 2018, and he raised concerns that something like this could happen. Let's go back to 2018 with former big league pitcher Al Leiter.
There's a line that at the Borgata that lighters could fall or strike. That's a product that they may come up with. Benign enough, my buddy says, listen, just throw a ball. You're not going to throw the damn game. And he throws a bet in Atlantic City, but we didn't know because there's no collaboration.
Again, I thought he was ridiculous. I thought he was far-fetched because at the time in the state of Nevada, where sports betting was legal only at that time, you couldn't bet any of this stuff, okay? You had proposition bets, but they weren't about a pitch that was a ball or strike in like the second inning. It just wasn't that extreme yet. It was, how many passing yards will Tom Brady have? Or how many touchdown passes will Patrick Mahomes have? Or will a guy like Aaron Judge hit a home run? Yes, we had those types of prop bets, but not at the time did we have this. Well, obviously betting has exploded in 40-something states. The menus are now competitive with other big sports books, so operators are trying to expand their menus and offer more and more stuff. Well, what happens is there can be some funny business. And if Luis Ortiz is guilty of this and conspiring, this is a major, major issue. And we've had an official, a referee in the NBA a couple decades ago. We also had some fringe basketball players in the NBA. We had some baseball players do some funny business. So we'll see how this all ends up. But I was wrong. Al Leiter was onto something. And yes, we cannot have this, especially when pitchers or batters aren't making a ton of money. It's one thing in the NBA when they make a ton, but you can definitely get some shady behavior. And we'll see what happens with the investigation. We've seen an NBA player, Terry Rozier, he was completely exonerated. So hopefully Ortiz didn't do anything wrong. But there's some incriminating evidence here, and all signs point to something if there was, in fact, unusual betting activity in those 3 states.